Now, in our final segment on the 1980 Mario boat lift from Cuba to America, we'll look at some issues that should be familiar to anybody who follows the news today. In 1980, when 100,000 Cubans ultimately settled in Miami, Cubans there were ecstatic to be reunited with long-lost loved ones. But what also occurred is that this sudden influx of new arrivals put undeniable strains on social services, and resentments arose in some of the underprivileged areas and in the Black community, and there were tensions. Additionally, upwards of 15% of the new arrivals were found to never really be able to adjust to their new nation. There were high incidents of alcoholism, unemployment, drug abuse, and other maladies for people who just couldn't get used to the newfound freedoms of their new nation. What also occurred is, just as today we're dealing with the influx of fentanyl and xylazine at our southern border, marijuana at the time was considered a serious drug. In 1981, a Mariolito named Mario Estevez was caught off the coast of Florida trafficking 2,500 pounds of marijuana into the country. What was significant about this was what Mr. Estevez had to tell American investigators. First of all, he was more than a drug trafficker. He was, in fact, a member of Cuban intelligence who had been sent to America to set up a drug network. Part of his ring were two members of the Central Communist Party Planning Commission back in Havana. Ultimately, Mr. Estevez flips on 14 of his fellow Cubans, and indictments are handed up on one other Cuban intelligence agent, a vice admiral in the Cuban Navy, and the former ambassador from Cuba to Colombia. Additionally, Mr. Estevez informed incredulous investigators, and this fact was ultimately confirmed, that Castro had also sent upwards of 3,000 Cuban intelligence agents into the country. When we consider that the remnants of those networks may very well still be operating, and that among Cuba's greatest allies in the intelligence world remains Venezuela, we have some idea of what we may have gotten into today, particularly when we consider that among Venezuela's greatest international allies are China, Russia, and yes, Iran. Compare the numbers. 150,000 Cuban refugees into America at the time, millions coming in now. I'm Paul Morrow. Thank you for listening.